Shit. What's up, everybody? How you doing tonight, Dr. Mulder and JS?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How are you?
Can't
Really
complain.
good.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah, the Genesis 2.0, which is now on Lawless Metaphysics, I was able to get my hands on one and kind of just dive into it, and from the 2.0 to the Mega to the Genesis, once you're on the mountain, you want to freaking climb on in. And
Once you get one, you have to get the rest of them.
yeah, exactly. You gotta get the vampire box because everything is different. Man, it's gotta catch them all. That's what the kids would say. But yeah, with this box, what I was feeling was so much different than just all the even the Genesis. Uh, so the amplifiers, how there's two different amplifiers, and so you can essentially, in my mind, have two different operations going on with one machine. And my first working I did with King Paimon, and usually I like to get, the offering all set and the candle, and if I want to use a lancet or whatever the case may be for the working, and then do the ritual, put it on the box, and keep it all going. But as I put a sigil on top of the little circular device that's connected with the Genesis 2.0, his voice already came in the room like, dude, you don't need any other stuff. Just put on the helmet and just get on with it. And it's like, all right, cool. So as I put on the helmet and I'm dialing the helmet in, it's such an easier way. Instead of having to imagine, it just is. So dialing with that into King Paimon's energy, it's like you both are coming together, bringing about this psychic layout where you both can interact. And it's with such clarity, and I haven't even dialed in with the machine yet. So that's connected in there, and this, the realism, the feeling, the energy in the room, as well as seeing it with your psychic eye and everything else, having that dialed in, and then, expressing what I was trying to have change and be altered, and then putting my hand on the machine and just visualizing that, which I was trying to, the money, which I was trying to seek, and, the layout of where you want it all to come in and all that. And after that operation, I then put the sigil on the input plate and then myself on the output plate. And after, I'd probably say, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, some badass ideas about making money started flooding my mind. And I'll definitely talk to you about that one off air, because you'll understand why. And it was really badass, and I'm like, okay, thank you so much for this operation, and like, this is what I was looking for. So I did another working with King Beleth, and I have a pact with King Beleth, and so I've had my Genesis box on that's just been empowering that pack the whole time with that constant energy flow. And so I thought, why not have me something empowering with that, as well as something else of my own intention, which I want at the same time. Why not have both things happen? So it was kind of about the same thing. It was kind of put on the helmet, and the scenery, which I've never had before, and it felt more natural than any other scenery I've had working with King Beleth, came about in the layout of this great library, and basically just, doing the same thing, my evocation, talking about what it is I'm trying to manifest and desire, and the pact, which I felt like to empower. And so he just said, as like I'm visualizing that, have the machine, showing like the two energy centers pulsating both of the things you wish to manifest. And it really, you can feel it. Like, if you're really in touch with that machine, you can feel that there's two intentions coming out of the one machine. And so one was behind King Beleth and that energy pulsing out, as well as my own energy into the machine and what intent I wanted. And I've already seen things manifest with just the intent I was desiring, that I was putting into that machine. So I think that it's really like a 2-for-1 machine, and it has the power of 2 Genesis in one. So that, in combination with the helmet, with everything I've done with meditation or contact with spirits or whatever it may be, it just amplifies it, and it puts me inside of that that mind frequency, you know, and there's none of this chatter that goes on, whereas it might take me 25 minutes of some type of breathing to get me in that same frequency, you know, 3 minutes of dialing in and just sitting still. So both those with that, I definitely see with that Genesis 2.0 makes that different. And something else, like with the War Machine, when you get the plate to put the candle on, and you can put whatever energy you'd want within that candle by just like dialing that in, putting that in, and then when you burn it, you know, it's saturated with that energy. This does the exact same thing too. So if you want to have a candle, either have its energy, you know, you coat it with some herbs or whatever, and you burn it. It can be like an offering of that energy, you know, like the ecstasy oil I put on this candle, and it burns into the working. So, you know, for a phase while it's burning, it can also add potency to the working. And then you could also have your intent to charge a candle. So you could charge it with whatever, you know, an entity or a pinnacle, whatever the hell you want to do, and empower that. So it's really a freaking powerhouse back there. Like it's really kick ass. So from what I've seen with it, it's more it's versatile. That'd be the best word to put than all the other machines.
Yeah, it seems like it. Now, I just got mine yesterday, so I haven't even had a chance to play with it yet. But just to get an idea, if y'all run me through it, all right? Let's say, you know, this is a sigil of Suntalak, you know, spirit of wealth and prestige. So which of these jacks, this is the input plate, that's where you'd put the sigil, right, Doc?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
But,
so then you would put, say, what, a picture of yourself on the output?
well, yeah, if it wasn't Santol. Well, I guess if it was Santolok, first you'd start off with like the attachment that came with the Genesis box, and you'd place the sigil of Santolok on that input on that bottom hole down there.
Yeah, right below the on-off switch. Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Or
Yeah,
that's where I plug my helmet in.
Yeah, no, that's for the metal plate. What that is, that's like the transmitter form of it, like where you're doing, you're transmitting a message or a signal directly into the entity of your choice, in
All
which you place the sigil of on that plate the external plate that I have that I included with the machine.
Okay.
and then your box is on the input. I meant your helmet. Whatever your intent is then on that other side by the input plate, and then the output, you know, if you're trying to get the information received to you. But after you're done doing,
what if you're simply trying to use this to communicate? Would you put your helmet on the in the output jack?
Yeah, you could do that. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
This thing's heavy, man.
Yeah, I know. That's
Got a lot of goodies in that box.
Yeah, it's like trying to put 15 pounds of manure in a 10-pound sack, man. I'm just telling you, it was pretty. There's not much room inside that machine.
Yeah, well, it's got like 12 dials, so that's a lot of different frequencies that you can dial into there.
Yeah.
And you know, like I love that you can use this to run different types of operations. Like, say, you know, we've got, you know, an amplifier prototype that you sent me here that can be plugged in to either the input or the output, depending on what type of operation you're wanting to run. And you could even, you know, hook that into a vampire machine too, you know. So it's you can get pretty creative from what I'm seeing here.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty endless what kind of shit you can come up with if you're a creative practitioner.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's the whole idea is being able to interchange all these machines and have them all work together. Again, that's the whole point of all this is to give the magician a lot of flexibility, and really your imagination is your only limitation when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that.
Physical energy, and if you can put it together with the right scientific method, you can manipulate reality in just about any kind of way you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's like, I feel as I have started with Radionics is a year, you know, it's been about a year of like really hard pressing my nose into it. I almost feel as if it's like, it's either a blood sacrifice or Radionics for big manifestation. Like, there are other things you can do with opening a sigil and stuff, but really making bigger waves, I feel like you have to go like to the next level of certain things, or like a great sex magic ritual to be able to get some results you can have by having a machine on for, 2 weeks. So it's potent stuff. And I think everyone who wants to kick their magic up to the next level absolutely should get their hands on it. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Well, I got mine. I'll definitely be playing with that and experiment with that this week. I'm getting quite a collection of radionics machines now, and just about all of them are in use. Unless I'm unplugging them to bring them out here and do a video and show them off, I've got different operations going, and it never really gets old. And it's like I'll figure something out, and I'll be really excited for a while about figuring something out. And it's like you're always chasing the next high. And it's like, okay, well, I got that. Now what else can I do? And it's, when you let it become a healthy obsession, that's when you really start making an impact. And yeah, like most practitioners, they'll get out there, they'll light a candle and they'll chant some gooble gobble out of a fucking book that someone else wrote. But if you really want to make some waves, like you were saying, it's the Old Testament blood sacrifice workings, and the radionics is kind of like the new kid on the block that's just as cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It'll help you really liberate your life too. Like lots of situations can arise, and I mean, like the master key, I mean, that's a huge thing. That thing has gotten me out of so many situations, and having that implemented on any of the boxes as defense, not having to clean yourself, like having a hunter killer constantly going. It's just why would you not want to be able to have these things instead of worrying about getting a salt bath every 3 days,
Yeah, a salt bath might help cleanse you a little bit, might make you feel better, but someone lays a real nasty, baneful working against you, salt bath ain't gonna do shit. Whereas if you got a hunter killer system running 24/7, then there's very few magicians that are capable of getting around that, of surpassing or getting past that defense system, because it's an adaptive defense system. If it's like just a wall in front of you, like those are made to be knocked down and climbed over. But if you got a defense system that adapts to the threat and finds the weakness in that threat and starts exploiting that before it even has a chance to get close to you, somebody's gonna have to work a hell of a lot harder to give you a black eye.
Hell yeah, no, for sure. Would you, Dr. Mulder, explain the amplifier system that you guys are going to be having?
Let's see. Are you talking about the that device he held up with?
Yeah.
Okay. If memory serves, that originally that was designed as a scrying device.
You did design it as a scrying device, but also found that I could plug it into an output jack, and then this becomes the new output plate, and it's a whole nother radionics machine that's built as an amplifier inside this. So it's just a way to kick things up a notch. And I'm the type, like, I'll hook 10 machines together, make a psionic super weapon, and blow up a volcano.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, exactly. Oh shit! All I'm trying to do is just make it snow in the desert, man. You're going hardcore, dude.
Well, there was a lot of shit being talked about, radionics being bullshit.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm gonna give y'all this one-time example of exactly how crazy this shit is and what you can do with it. And I'll tell you what. It made everybody speechless. Nobody said a fucking word since about radionics being bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know what? Changing the weather from, I haven't had a 2.0, I've tried to change the weather, and into the Mega and Genesis. I definitely noticed, like with the Genesis, I could do it like within 12 hours if a massive storm's coming. And I've seen the map and how it says we're supposed to get whooped, terrible, and then nothing occur. Or we're just getting 5 inches past weekend. I was like, I don't want to fucking have 5 inches, so let's just get rid of that shit.
I want 10.
Yeah. Actually, the people above us weren't supposed to get that much, and they got 12. So, it did get displaced a little bit, and that's how it works. But I do notice that with the Genesis, it's definitely, you could just tell how much quicker and faster reactive it is working than a 2.0. Not to say 2.0 doesn't hit things just as, effectively in a sense, but it does take more time. I feel like there's more lag time, at least like with the weather operation.
The more power you got generating here, the faster the results are going to be.
Exactly.
This was 3 Christmases back, and here where I'm at, like it don't even get cold until after Christmas. I've never seen snow on Christmas here, in the South. And so my young daughter tells me, Daddy, I really want it to snow for Christmas here. Can we do that with magic? And I'm like, you know what? If Doc can make it snow in Iraq, then hell yeah, we can make it snow here in Cleveland on Christmas. And so I got I got a Wishbox 2.0, and I plugged the Radionic helmet into the input jack, and then I printed out an aerial picture of our hometown area, and then printed out a picture of a blizzard and just wrote snow on the back of the picture. And I wrote the name of the city and everything on the back of the aerial picture that I took from Google Earth. And so I put the picture of the blizzard on the input plate, the copper plate, and I put the picture of our hometown on the output plate. Plugged the helmet in. I sat there and tuned the dials for her. I put the helmet on and tuned those dials, and I put the helmet on my daughter. She's 12. And I said, okay, all you got to do is sit there and stare at that picture of our house on Google Earth and imagine it snowing on Christmas Day. And so she sat there, she was all serious for like 5 minutes staring at that. She's like, okay, I'm done. It's going to happen. I'm like, okay, I bet it will. Sure enough, we woke up to like 3 inches of snow on Christmas morning here. And that's the first time I've seen that in this area on Christmas. So I looked it up. The last time it did that was like back in the 1800s here. So a long time since we got snow for Christmas. And a 12-year-old girl did that with a little bit of instruction and a Wishbox 2.0 and a helmet. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got another guy we've been working with is also a magician, and he's out of Southern California, and he's been doing weather experiments too. And right now, basically, it's just nothing but constant rainstorms out in the middle of the out in the middle of the desert. This guy's like 150 miles west of the center point of Death Valley, California. Okay, I mean the desert. I mean, he's out in the desert, okay? And there was like a dry lake bed there, and it's rained so hard that I think it started like back in November. Now the lake is like 4 or 5 feet deep now.
Well, it's not a desert anymore, is it?
That's not a desert anymore. I mean, he's been doing this shit for less than 4 months, 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
California's like getting hit so hard right now too. And when I see that type of stuff on the news and all this wild weather going on, I'm just thinking like there is a lot of different powers trying to change things from the government to individuals. And it just comes about intent behind that power and what's your power source, They're definitely trying to change the weather on us, and we might as well change it on them. Bastards.
Yeah. Exactly. But I mean, and again, he was using I think he had like a Genesis, or I call it a Shiva. It's not really anything like a Genesis. The Genesis machines are designed for magicians. Okay, that's the intent when they're built, is for to do magical work along with being used as a regular wishing machine. And that's what this guy was using. And so I sent him a prototype of something I was working on, and that's what that's what he has been working with to affect the weather changes out there in Southern California. This is the damnest thing I've ever seen. I mean, I'm impressed. I really am. And and it just goes to show what can be done to incorporate magic and radionics together, and the kind of things that you guys are able to pull off. I mean, with really, for all intents and purposes, very little effort. I mean, you're not really doing a lot there, except setting up the intent, setting up the sigils, whatever your practice may be, and then turning a few dials and let it do its job.
Yeah.
It's pretty effortless, especially when I'm doing shit just for the hell of it to see if I can do it. And I don't really expect anything. I'm just like, I'm gonna put this together and just see what happens. Those are the times that I get blown away the most.
Yeah.
Real power is effortless.
Yeah. That's what I've noticed. A lot of my operations, I just set it and forget it. I mean, really, I realize if you start thinking about it for a while, it just seems to kind of gum up the works for some reason. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
It makes sense, because having any attachment, that means you didn't let all your energy out on it, and if you don't get it all out, then it's hard to. And that's why there's certain operations hard for certain people, and it just comes down to like, it's kind of like, fuck it. And I mean, I've definitely seen some great things with my own, like using a big chicken farm where they do like, that stuff. and then putting for that, them taking that energy that the watchers could be able to help me out, you know, getting rid of certain BS or stuff and making the show processes I'm making a lot smoother. And since then, right people have come in the door, wrong people out in the door, and it just is taking a Google image map and my intent saying, take all that blood there that they're not using for anything other than, you know, bullshit, and use it as a sacral way to be able to help myself as well as, you know, everything else. So it's really, it's just fucking limitless.
What can I say? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, JS, how long have you been using radionics, you know, with magic? How many years? I know you've been dealing with it long before you ever met me.
Yeah, right about, if I go back, it's been almost 8 years since I got my first machine. And
wow.
I decided to get that. I came across Uncle Chuckie's YouTube videos talking about radionics and read some of his work, some of his written books, and I was like, man, I have got to try that. So I went and, you know, I spent like $2,500 and got a rad 2400 from OrgoneGenerator.com, and it took me a few days to get the hang of it. I got the hang of it really quick, and I started doing all kinds of crazy shit with it. And I would experiment on myself so that I could gauge the effect that it had on me. And there's a few times I made myself sick as a dog, and you know, I was just like, okay, I know how to make somebody sick now if they want to be an asshole. You know, it's like you experiment on yourself, and that way you know exactly what you're doing, and are able to gauge the results. And so one of the things I did is I went to the local zoo with a Polaroid, and I took pictures of lions, tigers, and bears. You know, and I'd come home and I'd put those on the input plate, and I'd put a Polaroid of myself on the output, and tune the dials, and see what type of energetic effect that those animals' energy had on me by pumping it into myself. And each one was different, and I found that I had so much physical energy that I could not sleep with this box on it. I'd have to turn it off 3 hours before I went to bed. Well, one of the animals I got a picture of was an African bull, and this thing was noticeably sick, you know, snotting everywhere, and you could just tell this bull was sick as a dog. And I took a picture of him anyway. I wasn't even thinking about making myself sick like that. So I put it on there with, you know, I put him on there, put my picture on there, set it up, left it running. 4 hours later, I had like a full-blown sinus infection. I was running a fever and just felt like shit. And then I was like, man, how did I get sick? I didn't even leave the house yesterday or today, you know, and it dawned on me like, holy shit, that was a sick animal that I put on there. So I went and reversed the dials, let it run for a little bit, and then turned it off. And about 4 hours later, I was fine, no more symptoms. And I'm just like, damn. All right, so next time someone pisses me off, I'm putting a picture of that bull on there with, you know.
Yeah. I got myself really sick. I was just feeling a little congestion, and I was like, I'm tired of this. Let's get a Raphael sigil, put my blood on there, some C60, put some honey, and then put it on the Radionics box and just empower it to make me so I feel better. Dude, I got sick for about 5 days. I didn't even go into work, didn't do anything because I couldn't breathe at all. And then it was like it got out the deep sickness that was within me beyond just the little, you know, stuff. So you can definitely kick your own ass, and even the mild possession, I mean, you could make it a deeper possession by just having the spirit on the input and you on the output, and, you know, increasing that energy and all that. I mean, it's before a ritual. It's pretty crazy shit you can do to yourself just by a couple switches, like you said. But well, hell yeah, 100%. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh.
But yeah, I didn't know if we were gonna talk any more about the Genesis 2.0 or if you guys were, because I didn't know if we were trying to do a full on, just random conversation or just keep it short with the Genesis 2.0. What worked for you guys?
I mean, I'm
talking about anything else y'all want, man.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of like a Radionics roundtable.
Oh, good shit. Okay, well then, hell yeah, that was the thing. Okay, well, I definitely could go into so with the War Machine, JS, have you noticed anything that, like, there's specific entities that you've seen work really well with it, or what have you kind of felt along those lines?
Well, one of the things I'll do is I'll use the sigil of Suntalak for with my war machines, and I'll put the picture of an asshole on there and energetically sacrifice them to that entity for my own benefit. And you know, when it comes to stuff like that, I pretty much focus pedophiles, rapists, and people that love to beat women and kids. You know, those are the type of people. The only purpose they have in this world is to be my fucking guinea pigs. All right, for the really nasty stuff. And no matter what you do to them, you don't feel bad. And man, I could tell some stories. I don't know. They're pretty gory as far as what has happened to some of these people that done really horrible things to women and children. But let's say that many of them are no longer with us, and the ones that are with us are vegetables, and they were never strike another woman or child again. So I really like to use those people for the nasty like war machine experiments and things like that. And you know, I'll take a vial of goofer dust, a vial of baneful doom oil, and like you know the Satyrian sigil or seal of destruction. You know, and it's like the fourth or fifth pinnacle of Saturn for all operations of destruction. And I'll put the sigil on there, and I'll charge it, I'll open it, I'll call upon those energies, and I'll put a vial of goofer dust and some baneful oil on there, and the picture of a child molester. And, you know, the fastest it's put one in the ground was 2 weeks.
Wow.
That's pretty good. 2 weeks.
Dude, that's hardcore. I mean, I've definitely seen the before two people were going into I mean, I'll just explain a little bit of what I've been doing. You know, there might be a fight going on, and then I'll just use a machine, you know, last 2 hours before the fight, and then make it so the person's off and they're not able to keep themselves, you know, up with a fight or whatever, and be able to just see in their energy before their fights that it's completely drained, and it's like it almost looks like it's rigged, you know. So that's definitely been a really crazy experiment I've been able to see with it. And there are certain entities. I tried to layer up 3 different entities on it, and I feel like it does make a concoction of something else. But there is, like, for what I was doing, there's better ones in adding multiple entities. Like, even with any of the machines, you know, it's kind of better, I feel, as if I just have one entity with the operation instead of multiple intents. I mean, maybe I'm not, you know, have the thing fully right, but yeah, I didn't know. Is that something you'd agree with, or have you been able to have 2 different entities on something?
Yeah, I use the hunter killer system for that operation, where I put like this 3 different sigils of 3 different entities, and 1 person on the output plate. I've done that for baneful operation.
Wow.
And yeah, I believe that was the one that took 2 weeks. So.
Oh wow. Was that, did you use like, so 1 box for the power, 1 for maybe another power, and then the war machine, so it was like a double up, triple up the power on it?
I did that with the Volcano Experiment. I had a Genesis plugged in to 2 separate Wishbox 2.0s plugged into a war machine, and freaking had my radionic helmet plugged into the input jack of the Genesis. And so I put the Satyrian sigil of destruction on there. And then, I put a picture of the explosion at Hiroshima. I put a picture of a volcano exploding, and I put a picture of a volcano I wanted to explode on the final output plate. And that took 15 days for that fucker to blow up. And I posted the video of me setting up the machine before the damn thing blew up. So there's no way to argue with it. That shut everybody's fucking mouth for good. And yeah. I'm still laughing about it.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember the first time I ever met you. It was on a show off the internet. First time I ever met you, and you were saying on this particular ritual, everybody should put a drop of blood on the sigil or something along that line, and that didn't really appeal to me. And so what I used was basically it was a human trafficker out of south of the border, and that's what I used. And I think like within a couple of weeks, couple of months, it's like hell just rained down on this person. I mean, number one, the person that they were planning on kidnapping for ransom was able, for whatever reason, decided just to leave the area and move to another part of another state inside that country, and also things started just falling apart. People were starting to find out about who this person was. Their own gang was starting to, there was a lot of infighting and that kind of thing. And I thought just absolutely perfect. And I think this person, if they're, if they're still alive, they're living under a bridge right now.
Yeah, if they're still alive.
If they're still alive.
Yeah. Have you with like a Tulpa or Gregor or whatever, like, or even a succubi, have you had its energy be able to be empowered by a radionics box? Like I've had astral matrix thing, whatever. For me, it's like a fucking crystal, and I just keep empowering it with my machine, and it's been empowered for past 6 months. I'm gonna do a ritual with it down the road, but so I can see like as a construct can keep gaining power. Have you seen or done anything where you've empowered something and you've been able to like almost have a physical experience with something that was not supposed to physically manifest or whatever? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, especially with succubi.
Oh yeah.
Now, as far as like tulpas, egregores, thought forms that you can create, once you create the blueprint for it, once you give it an identity, create a sigil for it, a description for the entity, I will typically use a blood sacrifice in order to give that life form life. Especially my own blood. I'll put the sigil on the paper. I'll write out the description of the entity, give it a name, and do several. I don't know what the hell that noise is over there, but it needs to go away. But anyway, once you initially create that thought form, that tulpa, then all you have to do is take the sigil and feed it with a radionics machine continuously, whether it's a vampire box or a Genesis box. I'll put pictures of animals on there. I'll put pictures of really healthy, attractive people on there, as well as things that represent power, like the sun or the moon, like whatever type of energy you want to feed that egregore, then you can put it on the box with the sigil of that entity, and it gets stronger every day.
So with that vampire 2. I don't know if it's vampire deluxe or what you guys call it, but what have you seen is more like different from the other one with all those plates?
Not only is it more potent, but you can vampirize 4 different things, animals, people, whatever, at the same time. This is the input slot. So whoever you want to pump some energy into, or whatever sigil, you put it in here. All right. And then you can put pictures of 4 different professional athletes on here, 4 different exotic animals, whatever it is, and pump it all into the same person. So if I got like a sick friend or something, I'll put their picture in there, and I'll put pictures of things that will generate healing energy and pump it into that person. And like you were talking about wanting to rig fights, I've done that by taking just a regular vampire box, and I'll put the picture of the fighter I want to lose on the input tray, and I'll put the picture of the fighter I want to win on the output. And so you're siphoning. I'll do that about 3 days before the fight. So you're siphoning the energy from the opponent and feeding it to the guy he's fighting. And by the time he gets in there, he's already run down, and that guy's like got his talent. So we could make some serious money rigging fights.
That's what I was gonna talk off air about, but I'm on it on there, man. That's that's the king. What King Paimon was showing me. He's like, everything's already. You have everything right there, and I'm now 3 for 4, and 3 I had the same operation. The 4th one I had multiple entities going in on the input plate of the box instead of having 3 different boxes, and I feel like it was like kind of like the entities kind of tripping on each other in a sense. Like it wasn't the perfect storm, but that vampire idea is that's so easy. That's so simple. That totally makes sense. You don't even need to have anything extra.
Yeah.
No, you don't. And the great thing about these vampire machines is they have a filter built into them. So even if you put something that was, like a picture of a nuclear blast, it's got toxic radiation, it's getting ran through a filter before it feeds you the raw energy. And so something I've done with a regular vampire machine is take 2 Polaroids of myself, put myself on the input and the output. And so that's like an energetic dialysis operation there. It's siphoning my energy out of me, running it through this filter, and then pumping it back into me and making me feel
better. Yeah, I mean, it's based on the intention of the operator. That was his intent. I mean, he could have tried to use those same two items, like the picture of himself, where it's basically just a loop, going through the system as a filter. And again, it's all based on JS's intent of what he wanted to accomplish with that operation, and that's always incorporated into the machine. I don't know how it happens. It just works. It just works that way, And I've heard, different people, they have opinions. Well, you don't really need knobs, and other people say, well, you do need knobs. And one guy was saying, well, knobs 100-year-old technology, and this guy was into tubes, using tube radio amplifiers, that kind of thing. What the hell is a tube? That's 100-year-old technology. I mean, where are you coming from? And so, but again, it's all about the operator. And that is the most important part of these machines. And that's what I love about this is you guys already did all the prep work. You've already gone to college when it comes to, doing projecting energy, controlling energy, working with the entity of your choice or whatever. And you're able to incorporate all that stuff with another technology and just ramp it up, just take it to the next level. I love watching you guys do this. I really do. I just find it fascinating.
More power, the better. And that's, as I've been on this journey, that's all I've realized. And, I don't give a shit what they would, categorize that as, but like more power, more results. Like at the end of the day, I was talking to some lady today. I don't even know how the conversation got brought up about Radionics boxes, but it sure did. And just explaining how you can put your intent and place all that into basically a sonar to bring about the manifestation which you want, and then you move on with your life while that same energy is being put down in there. I mean, I one time, was doing a sex magic ritual by myself and then flipped the switch on right when it all happened at once, and I was like, yeah, that's badass. But whatever it takes to be able to get what you need to happen.
Okay.
Absolutely, whatever it takes. And people want to call this stuff magic. It's really not. It's science. It's metaphysics. This is a scientific method that has a direct cause and effect. We are scientists here. And I'll tell you, like, probably half my clients either have degrees or at least have taken courses in metaphysics, and the other half have degrees in theology. So, I mean, when you put science and religion together, or science and old school ritual practices together, you create a whole different animal. And so, yeah, it's magic, but it's also technology. And, we only call shit magic when we don't know how to explain it scientifically, but it works. True. Me personally, I don't give a shit how it works. I'm just, as long as it works.
Yeah.
As long as it gets results, I'm happy.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's always the end results. Does it work? And so, but yeah, I mean, that's just fascinating. I just watching this thing happen. And like I said, the thing about it is, I've had people that will, oh, it's just a bunch of bullshit. This radionic stuff, it's all a placebo effect. And I think Elle and I were discussing this the other week. Well, the thing about it is, if it's a placebo effect, how many times, like when you set out an intent using these machines and you keep getting results and it manifests itself, I mean, how many times does this have to happen when it's no longer a coincidence and there's actually a cause and effect? I mean, I don't understand some people's mindset. I can understand being skeptical, but when you see the evidence and you do experiments and you're constantly getting these results, it's just beyond chance.
Yeah, it is like for weather. I had a bet with someone, said 100% where it was supposed to rain, 100 and 100 degree rain, boiling water. We're all gonna die. No, it's supposed to be terrible, and every single day, it would just, as the thing would progress, nothing changed. Day of was supposed to be a huge thunderstorm on the day of this race, and I told my buddy, I bet you that it's not going to. We're not going to feel one drop of rain. That was my intent. As we're driving there, it's an hour away. It's still pouring down. 30 minutes, still pouring down. 15 minutes, stops. We get to the place, and all of a sudden the clouds are dispersing, and it's just a blue over us.
Mm-hmm.
And we get up to where the race line is, and they're like, we're going to cancel this event. All the coordinators are all in a huddle, and they're going to tell us all this is over. But for some reason, like the weather right now, we're able to do it. Go get on your race, go get it done. And so we did that race, and I was looking on the map, and it just, sure enough, right where we were at, it opened up and it just went all around us. It rained all around us, other than where we were at. And yeah, I do believe cloud bursting. If you look up at the sky and you see clouds and you visualize it being clear, I do believe we all have the ability definitely to do that. But I don't know what the hell dance I would have had to do to make it so I could make the winter or mix with the water fucking storm go away. It's not just some fucking coincidence when you can do it. I've gotten it 5 out of 6 times. The only reason the one time I feel it didn't work is because it was too last second. I did it 8 hours before a storm that was so massive, and like I said, we didn't get as much as we were supposed to get. We only got half an inch instead of 5 inches, but still, I wouldn't count that as a success because it wasn't 100%. But yeah, really, well, damn.
The way I shut skeptics up about the placebo bullshit is by doing experiments on people without their knowledge. Because if I tell you, if you're sick, I tell you I'm gonna do a healing ritual for you tonight, and then okay, yeah, placebo might be a factor in whether or not you wake up feeling better because I told you I was gonna do it. But if you're sick and I don't tell you and do a healing ritual for you and you wake up feeling better the next day, then placebo has nothing to do with the results because the person had no idea it was happening. And yeah, it's just yeah, they've done experiments where you give people sugar pills and they get better, all right? But when someone has no idea what is happening, then you can't. I mean, that totally separates the placebo effect from genuine results.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with you. And one thing I've noticed too, animal behavior. An animal doesn't know what the hell these machines are. I mean, hell, they don't even know what a car is. All they know is, to eat, fornicate, and poop. I mean, and perform a task. I mean, that's basically all an animal. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay animals. I love animals. I'm just saying they have basic instincts. They have basic ways of looking at things. But human beings are more complex. And but when you're able to control animal behavior, and I mean even remotely, they don't even see the machine. You don't even talk to them. The only thing you have to work with is the picture of that animal. And I did this with a show horse, for example. And you tune a machine, and within 24 to eliminate certain behavior, because with show horses they have to behave a certain way. They have to or they get points get taken away from them. They lose the event or whatever the contest is or whatever the competition is. And so, and we were able to control animal behavior just by turning a few dials. And within 24 to 48 hours, you have the horse's owner calling you and saying, "What the hell happened here?" This horse is just basically, it's like overnight has changed, and certain parts or certain ways they interact inside of the ring. And I'm just looking at that. And one thing that got me was I have a couple of good friends of mine who had coyotes that were coming in on their property, and they didn't want to hurt the coyotes. They just wanted them to move away. That's all they wanted them to do. And these things are basically, the pack is, they're there. They're like, they can see them on the road. When they go to get their mail, they can, they'll see them out in the woods. They'll find, carcasses of animals that they've eaten, that kind of a thing. And they hear them howling at night. And then I would turn a couple of dials on a machine for these coyotes to go away, not to hurt them, just for them to move on. Okay. And within 36 hours, they're gone. Okay. How does that happen? And I haven't done that just once. I've done that twice. When it came to coyotes.
Well, you're definitely not affecting the coyotes with the placebo effect.
No, they know nothing.
Chuck was saying years ago, like, I guess he knew somebody that had a cockroach infestation in their house, couldn't get rid of it. So He took a picture of the house and put it on the Radionics machine, and he smashed a cockroach on top of it and tuned his dials, and it, like, all the roaches moved out of the house. I'm like, that is the coolest shit I've ever heard of.
Wow.
Luckily we don't have roaches here, but I'll remember that if we ever get them.
Same here.
I had a boss who was just kind of a jackass, and I put him on a vampire box, so he would just get off my case. And after he went on there, I never had one more problem with him. It was always just jolly go lucky, you're all good, and he had to deal with his own shit, and I didn't have to deal with him anymore. Just be able to just get that shit right off of you. Why deal with it when you can just flip the switch?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's the damnest thing I've ever seen. But again, it's just a tool. It's not a magic box. You're the magic. Okay, it's just a tool to help you, amplify your abilities. And I always like to give the analogy. Yes, you can walk down to the corner store, or you could drive, or you could ride a bicycle to the corner store. At the end result, it's going to be the same. It's just one is easier and faster than the other, and that's all it is. It's just a tool.
When it comes to the input, JS, is there anything you like in particular? Because I like to use the sun and sometimes pentacles, or if it's a spirit, use, with their permission, that energy. But do you find like a sacrificial individual, or the black sun, or anything in particular that you find manifest things differently, or do you just think energy is energy?
Myself, like with the vampire box or something,
or just like any operation, like a Genesis box. It was just like for that input energy source. Is there anything in particular that's okay?
So professional MMA fighter.
Okay, damn.
Whoever the world champion is at that point in time, I'll take a picture of them right before they get in the ring to fight, because they are pumped, they are jacked, they are ready to go. Don't want to take a picture of them after they get their ass beat and put it on there, because I did that once and my jaw I woke up the next day, my jaw felt like I got punched in it. I guess that's right, that guy just got his jaw jacked, so I'm feeling that shit. But no, I'll get them when they're healthy, strong, and energetic. And of course, animals, man. You put a horse on there, you put a tiger on there, like it is just raw primal energy, and it feels good. As far as power sources, I'll print out a lightning strike. I'll print out a picture of the sun. I'll print out a picture of a volcano, something like that, to generate power for them, depending on what I'm trying to do. And I worry about the lightning strike. It's like, well, if I put a picture of a lightning bolt on there and a picture of myself, I might get struck by lightning. So you got to be careful with shit like that. You got to think about it. So I'll probably, I was feeding a sigil with that particular operation. I might put a picture of an asshole on there and see if I can make lightning strike his ass.
That's pretty good. I like that. I know, like with entities, for sure, you can feel that energy way more deeper with you once you have their sigil and then yourself on the output plate. But I've not done anything to the next level with that, and I've really thought about, getting myself with a helmet on, the output as well as its sigil, and then empowering it with a couple machines. But it's like, just like once you start, I just feel like I need, all right, what's the next thing? Like I've already made this room an entire, everywhere you look, there's just machines all over the place, and you just want to keep on going, and there's so many different things. And like you said, the whole rigged fights, how to make a parlay, how to rig multiple fights. It's like, do I just need 20 machines real quick here to make my reality change completely?
Yeah, like you said, let's talk off the air about that. I've been thinking about, matter of fact, I was listening to the last show that we did together, and we were discussing betting. And I'd like to just talk to you about that off air. I think we got a serious opportunity here.
Well, but it was just like the horse thing, to be able to change that programming inside their mind. So whether it's a regular machine and it's just make them dull, not worry, or war machine, it's like chaos inside your mind, whatever it may be, you're in full control on that. But, yeah. Do you find the magnitude of manifestation is way faster when you're doing a chicken sacrifice versus just a Genesis box?
It is faster. It is faster. The results are more instantaneous because you're delivering that quantity of energy all at once. Whereas, you could put a picture of that chicken on the box and run that operation over a month's time and get the same result. But, it is faster, but not everybody can get out there and chop the head off. So, I mean, these machines give your everyday average person the power to perform action at a distance without having to go through, a decade of training and the ancient ritual practices. But you can do the same job with both things. And, if I'm, really wanting to expedite things, let's say I'm doing a deification for somebody and I've got a rooster picked out for them. I can put their picture on the Radionics box and a Polaroid of that rooster, and then turn that box on, leave it running, then go out there and perform the rite of deification for them. And that even has like a more profound effect. So I love mixing the two together and combining them.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really outside the box, but that totally makes sense. That energy goes directly to you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just the only downside is that energy aspect is once you have yourself on that output, if you're trying to get some good sleep, depending on what that energy source is, especially when it's on a Genesis box. On a Wish 2.0, I didn't have as much of an issue, but on the Genesis, I find it to be a lot more energy coming through, and I have to turn it off and give myself like a 4 hour come down. But as a person, I'm a really hyped up person, so I could just be different. But they can say it's placebo, but it's definitely not placebo. If it feels like I'm drinking like 3 espressos and it's like been 3 hours and I'm still on that level, how
Well,
else you
I
gonna
have
explain?
been able to use these to help people sleep also.
Oh, well.
This was an experiment I did on myself. I think I was using my RAD. This was years ago, my RAD 2400. Now you're not supposed to pick up cardinal feathers, but if somebody were to pick up a cardinal feather and put it on the box with a picture of themselves, then that would feel like a muscle relaxer and it would knock your ass out for about 8, 12 hours straight. Now, you wouldn't think that would be the case with a bird feather, especially a bird that represents raw power, universal power. But yeah, you're gonna be out cold as long as that box is on.
Wow, I might have to try that. To calm me down, I always feel like I'm amped up, man.
Yeah.
I just gotta go get
Yeah.
a feather.
Oh
Or
yeah. Use that
try
in a
putting a
horse
picture
race.
of a three-toed sloth on there.
Oh,
That'll make you tired.
Oh no. Oh, have you with the magic wand? I've had some experiments where, if I'm driving and someone's a jackass and I really need them to get out of my way, it's probably more of a me being an impatient person, but just hitting that and then, half a mile down the road, they're turning up out of the way, or even people's attention, like if I need it at my job or I need a signature for something for their job, I just visualize that, push it, and I'll see the person. It's like an exclamation point goes over their head, huh? And then they come on and walk on over. Have you had some more experiments? I did hear the one about Walmart where you made the person kind of stumble
Yeah.
and all that, but yeah, I just didn't know if you've had any more funny incidences.
Yeah, there's been a few more. That was probably the funniest one, watching that tall, goofy bastard stumble around like he was a puppet on a string for a while. You can use it to totally disorient someone, or if you want to strike up a conversation with a pretty girl, you just point it at him, say, "Talk to me." Imagine him when you walk by, turn around, "Hey, how are you, sir?" And it's like if you can start a conversation with a pretty girl, then that's like half the battle. At that point, she's already talking to you. It's your job not to say anything fucking stupid. It's personally, I don't use love magic for myself. I've done experiments in the past, as far as performing rituals to bring genuine love into my life. But as far as targeting someone to specifically like me, I just, if you're gonna do that, you might as well hire a prostitute. I'm sorry.
yeah.
At that point, they're not with you because they like you. They're with you because you manipulated them into it. And I like waking up next to somebody and knowing that they're there because they want to be. And maybe not everybody gives a shit, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're too much worried about whether or not the person cares about you or what do you need to do now, what do you need to do? That was my problem right when I was getting into magic. I mean, that's what got me into it, honestly. But, realizing the higher purpose, especially once you're really working deep with these spirits, they don't really let you, I mean, they'll let you make a couple little mistakes, but they keep you on your higher path. Like, they'll kick your ass and they're gonna make you have to realize, like, damn, I should be loving myself before that shit. But I do notice that with the ecstasy oil, when I put that on the input plate and I could put it on myself on the output plate or whatever the case, dude, I'm fucking vibing. Like that energy is like, whew. It's like
Yeah.
I got pheromones that all the girls are just sniffing and looking
Yeah.
at.
Yeah, I do that for couples occasionally. They'll like married couples, they'll hire me for like my lust enhancer or something. So what I'll do is I'll take a picture of the two of them together, put their names and birthdays on the back, put it on the output jack or the output plate, I mean, and then I'll take some of the ecstasy oil and the Inku love potion that we sell on the site. These are products created by Nicola Lux Pierre, and then I'll put the Cupid's blood love potion on there, and I'll take a square piece of cardstock and I'll write love and lust on there, and I'll spray it with the Cupid's blood and rub a little bit of the oil and the Inku potion on there and put that on the input plate. and then sit there and just tune the dials and leave it running. And next thing you know, these couples are just fucking like rabbits. They're back in the honeymoon state. And I've done that with consistent results, like getting the same results every time. It's that simple.
It's definitely something to do with, you know, their psychic body, their energy body, all of it. It imbues in it. I mean, it's kind of like if you're to do a baneful operation, you're literally putting it inside of the person, and then it comes on off. And that's and that's badass, man. That is really badass. I've only been able to use this stuff, you know, on myself to be able to kind of just see what it does, but it definitely magnetizes and brings the eyes and everything else to you, and it's pretty fucking crazy. And with the black web I made, which I have to send you an updated version of it, but
okay,
I've definitely had a it on my hill, and it just being hit by the radionics after I got done doing my ritual of it, and had it on there for 6 months, just nonstop into the bottle. So it's almost like its own ritual sacrifice, but you know, it's just energy over time. And I've noticed its energy, you can feel it, and there has been results with it. And that was without having to, you know, have an offering of blood. I mean, I did do my own and burned, but that's, you know what I'm talking about, like a lot of it. So you definitely like can empower your magical items that you make. And I'm making Dit Dat Jiao right now too, which is a Chinese ointment that you put on yourself if you get a bruise or your muscles are in pain. And I'm going to be empowering it with radionics as well. So not only what it does, make it effective, but add more to it. And I might even have Raphael's energy, his signature, get behind it too. So it's, you know, almost a freaking day and night. So like people that go fight and do things along those lines, I have a few friends I know that could definitely like use that. So it really is an endless thing, instead of needing to, you know, necessarily maybe get possessed and then empower it. But once again, how and my thought process is, you do want it more instantaneous in a sense, you know, make that bam right now or an over time. But that's why it's better to be able to do both things, you know. But unfortunately, not everyone, you know, like what you said, can go out there and get a chicken and do all those things. But it's definitely badass to be able to have that power still in the pocket, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, we've been on right at an hour here. Are we about ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds awesome.
Fantastic show there, El. I mean, great job, guys.
Yeah, great job. And yeah, I'm gonna start doing my experiments with this tonight. So yeah, next time we jump on, I'll hopefully have some more stories to tell here.
Hell yeah, dude! Thank you both so much. I appreciate it. I will definitely bring more questions and let you guys know all about my experiments, because I can't stop either, man. It's nonstop.
Sounds great.
All right, everyone, have a great night.